As you move through your day, your mental timeline doesn't just jump from event to event. And rather, there tends to be a gradual drifting as you carry pieces of the previous event with you to the next. Humans have known for thousands of years that memory is based on associations. But Karl Healey in Michigan State University's Department of Psychology is digging deeper into the temporal or time-based nature of those associations.
If you remember one thing, it often triggers a memory of something that happened nearby in time, even if there's no other relation. Even if you go from a meeting to a birthday party, very little meaning-based relationship between those two things. Purely by virtue of having happened close together in time, the memory system binds those things together. And we find that that's a really important driver of successful, good memory. My research focuses on human episodic memory, and what that means is we just try to understand how people form memories of the different events or episodes that happen to them, how they form essentially a mental timeline of what's happened in their lives.
To study this, they bring people into the lab to experience simulated events. For example, they might be shown a series of photos and later asked to try to remember everything they saw.
And while they're doing that, we often record neural signals, electrical signals from the surface of their scalp using an EEG system. And then we examine what the neural patterns look like when they successfully remembered something or when they forgot something. And then finally, we use computer models, mathematical simulations, to try to understand what's really going on in the brain at the level of neural computations. It turns out that the memory system really likes to bind together things that happen close together in time, even if they're not related in any other way. So if you're recording EEG while people experience different events, the EEG signal of things that are close together in time are more similar than the EEG signals of things that are further apart in time.
Young, healthy adults who are good at remembering things are good at gluing things together based on temporal proximity. One big reason memory can get worse with age is that as we get older, we get worse at using time to guide memory search. Karl's work has identified a similar deficit in individuals with ADHD, and he is currently investigating whether this is also true for individuals with autism spectrum traits.
Going forward, we're really interested in pushing the boundaries of this and, for example, applying it to things like Alzheimer's disease to try to better understand at that deep level of neural computational processes what exactly is going wrong with the memory system in these kinds of conditions that lead to poorer memory.
So what can we do to help improve this type of memory?
That is a great question. That's really the long-term goal of this research, is to really provide evidence-based interventions on how to do that. The big one is a little boring. It's pay a lot of attention. The more you're paying attention to something that you're trying to remember, the more distinct that neural pattern of EEG activity is likely to be, and that can help you reinstate it a little bit more clearly. So attention is a major factor. It's hard to remember something if you're not paying close attention. But another thing is that when you're actually trying to remember something, you can kind of push yourself to recreate that pattern of activity that represents the original memory. Really try to think about what were the sights, what were the sounds, what were the emotions. Because we think it's those human factors, the actual flavor of what it's like to experience something, that's what's being represented by these neural patterns. So if you can really try to bring as many aspects of the original experience back to mind, it can allow you to retrieve the memory in a more vivid way.
Using high-performance computing in psychology is still a relatively new intersection of disciplines. The Institute for Cyber-Enabled Research, or ICER, provides compute and support resources for the work of Karl and his lab.
The really big thing we use ICER for is the computational models, trying to fit these models to human behavior. And that takes a lot of computational resources, so that is what we use the high-performance computing facilities for, is to be able to do that in a way that takes, a day instead of a year.